Hello, it's me again. I got bored. I'm unoriginal, so time for another deck profile. This is pretty much going to be mostly exactly the same as I've done before, just going to showcase a couple changes I've made and attempt to explain some of the decisions if some of them seem odd. So I won't waste any of the rest of your time. Let's get right into it. This is Dinos. Once again, the one thing that will never change is 3 Misc, 3 Overraptor. If you are not playing these at 3 when they are both unlimited, then please do. Once again, 2 Archosaur. Again, the theme throughout with all these ratios pertaining to cards like this. 3 is too many, 1's not enough. And to go along with that, I am still keeping the babies at 3 Baby Ceratosaurus, 1 Petite Pteranodon. Those have all pretty much mostly been unchanged, and those have been working out for me. That was not the changes I needed to make. Boss monsters, still going to be 2 Conductor. Same reason, 3's too many, 1's not enough. Still 1 Pank, and then still the Giant Rex for the extender, plus it's a easily summonable rank 4 for what the deck does. Pankratops is Pankratops, no need to explain. And that's it for the monsters. On to the spells. As long as you're running the Extravagance version, you will always, of course, run 3 Pot of Extravagance. That new Pot of Disparity that's about to come out is going to be garbage when it comes to this deck. Please still run Pot of Extravagance. Pot of Disparity will not work. Still, with the Lost World shenanigans, 3 Lost World, 1 Terraforming, there's just too much you can do with this, and being able to have generic protection for all of your monsters, not just your dinosaurs, but for all of your monsters. Read the card. That's just too good. You can do too much with this card, so you need to maximize out on that. 3 Fossil Dig still, because searching out any of your combo pieces not once per turn is still amazing. The only thing that would make this card more broken is if it said level 7 or lower. It currently says level 6 or lower, so the only card you can't search in this is Conductor and Pankratops, but let's be real, it's broken enough. That'd be even more unfair than it already is. And then in keeping with the 3's too many, 1's not enough, still 2 Double Evolution Pill, no changes there. Here's where the main changes I have made come to fruition. The rest of this is going to be the hand traps / the other tech section of this. I am still running the 3 Ash Blossom because, once again, Ash is a generically good hand trap in any deck and against any deck. With this format, I am choosing to stick with the 3 Skullmeister. Oddly enough, what you'll see with the rest of these cards is I did take out Ghost Bell, and the reason for that is because in every single match I have played recently at all of my locals, Skullmeister has been the one that has come up more so. So I'm choosing to stick with that because it's just generically been better against anything else that I've done. Most everything I've come up against has been stuff that banishes for cost. And fun fact, if it banishes for cost, despite the fact that Ghost Bell says that it can stop cards being banished from the graveyard, doesn't matter if it's banished for cost, so having Skullmeister there is going to help you rather than Ghost Bell. So that's why I've made those changes with those 2. New spicy tech coming in. I am putting in Called by the Grave. I know it's a one-of, so you're not really going to be able to rely on it as much, but if you just so happen to draw it, the most vulnerable place you will ever be in any of your dinosaur plays is when you go to Banish Miscellaneousaurus to go to Archosaur. If they stop that, your play is dead, you cry, you pass your turn. If you just so happen to draw this, they can be like, okay, Ash Blossom Miscellaneousaurus. Okay, I cast FU. If you just happen to see it, then it's just too good to pass up, so I just had to make room for that. I am, of course, keeping in the Harpy's Feather Duster as well as the Lightning Storms because we do not like back row. We need to clear those out, and these are all good going second cards. So those are the changes I made for these spells, and then for the last major change, I have actually decided to put in 3 Infinite Impermanents once again. That may seem like a weird choice because Imperm's not necessarily the best hand trap right now because it's more so a control format, so stopping monster effects is still good, but still not really prevalent. The reason this is in here is for 2 reasons. 1, stopping monster effects is still always going to pretty much just be generically good, so having something like that is still going to be universally useful. And 2, exactly what Derek said in my last deck profile that I did with his deck, you need answers to some monster floodgate stuff like calamities or just any other thing that's going to to be a problem for you. That's why I took out Dark Ruler No More, because this does the same thing as Dark Ruler No More, except that you can still deal life point damage. The reason I had this in here was for cards like Calamities or Vanity's Ruler. And yes, it does get into a problem if, say, Virtual World establishes Calamities and then they're able to destroy it with Chuchi. At that point, there's pretty much nothing that's going to save you. You just got to be able to follow up after that. So that change isn't really going to make much of a difference. The reason I did Imperm instead of the other cards is just because it's just going to be generically better given most of the situations. That is the main deck. That is 41 cards, I believe. And I don't think I've ever run a 40-card version of this deck. If you want to do that, then you don't have to main deck stuff like Terraforming or Call by the Grave or Harpy's Feather Duster. But, I mean, 41 cards isn't really pushing it that much, and just every single card in there is going to benefit you more than it's not. And looking through every single one of these changes, I mean, there's really not necessarily a brick in this deck. You can pretty much take advantage of every single card in this deck unless you just draw into, you know, all starters that don't synchronize with each other or all going second cards that you can't really take advantage of. But every card you're going to draw with this particular build is pretty much going to be useful in at least some way. Onto the extra deck, I pretty much didn't change anything from my last build, but I'll just go through it real quickly. The Xyz, I'm still running 2 Dolka, 2 Lagia, 2 Dweller, because this deck screams rank 4 plays. These you play because it's Dinos, stopping monster effects is still good, stopping spell and trap negations as well as some summon negations is still really good, and in this format, shutting off the graveyard is godlike, so you want that as much as possible. That's the Xyz, no changes there. No changes to it all, really, but I'll just still go through it. The one Almirage to go with the Linkuriboh Secure Guard into play. You don't really need the extra deck, but you do need at least 2 of these left to do your combo for double evolution pill, so you still run 2 of each of these. This is for if you have a baby and double evolution pill in the hand, that way your combo is not dead and you can still go into Secure Guard now. And still the 2 Pentastag, because putting Conductor under it to deal piercing is still really good, plus just having generic link material for anything if you need to link something off. And the 1 Phoenix, because Phoenix is a good card. And still the 1 Zeraboros, because I refuse to change my mind on an additional boss monster that benefits off of banishing. Not to mention, if you are able to banish all of your opponent's board, that's still going to be really good, because a lot of things in this format can't deal with banishing, and a card that literally says banish everything is just going to be amazing in those situations. So no change to the extra deck. Moving right along, here's where a lot of the other main changes came in as well. I did change up the side deck a bit more. Still 3 Droll, because Drytron is a hell of a matchup. This card makes it not necessarily a hell of a matchup. I did, oddly enough, put in back some Nibirus. Nibiru is not really a great hand trap this format, but it's still high impact and it still can clear boards. Virtual World's a problem. This can clear out Virtual World boards. This can potentially have some use against Drytron. I have some, and again, I tailor all my deck stuff, especially my side deck, to my locals. We have a couple other spam decks on my locals. We have a couple Salamangreat players. We have like Dragon Link, Dragon Maid, even Derek's deck that I showed y'all in my previous deck profile from his undefeated run. He's like Dragon Link Dragoon Turbo. He's summoning constantly. So this card's always going to at least see some use, but I'm just not main decking it like I used to last format, because yeah, you can take advantage of the token you give your opponent, but in this format, it's not worth it to main deck, but I did put it back in the side deck for those reasons. On to the rest of the side deck. I finally got my 3rd copy of Ice Dragon's Prison, so I upped that up to 3. This plus the I'm still sticking to my guns on the Royal Decree. These are mainly my going first cards. If I either know I'm going first, if I willingly want to go first, or I know my opponent's going to make me go first. These are just really good cards to lead off with. We have a lot of trap-based stuff, so being able to shut off their traps is really good. And then Ice Dragon's Prison is just an amazing card in this format, being able to banish 2 of your opponent's cards, especially for things like we have a couple of Eldritch users at our locals as well, so being able to banish potentially multiple Eldritch is good, or just banishing 2 of their pieces is just generically good in general. And for the last 3 cards, I am keeping in the 3 evenly matched, because mainly for the Unchained player that we have, and some of the Unchanged stuff running around. This banishes, this doesn't destroy. Plus, just generic. I just need cards that clear boards generically in general, so that's why I run cards like Lightning Storm and Feather Duster, and this comes up a lot as well. So I just, if the situation ever arises, I just need to put in as much board clearing stuff as possible. Like I'll side deck out some of the lower impact hand traps, like maybe Ash, and then I'll just put stuff that just generically wipes the board anyway. So having all those options available to you is really good. That is pretty much it for all these changes I have made. Nothing too crazy in the main deck except for some of the hand trap tech options. And then the side deck, not necessarily an overhaul. I just had to make some changes based on some results I got during my last run of my locals and just what I think will benefit the deck in the near future. It's still nothing too crazy. Hope you still enjoyed and have a great rest of your day.